Welcome back to the Double Trouble Podcast. I just recorded episode 2 about 5 days ago, and I wasn't going to record this one. I planned to wait until day 1 of the NBA season, but then I thought, if I record this one with a bunch of season predictions, and then I wait till one big episode, we'll already have seen a few days of NBA action, and then I can record then, instead of just going based off recording on Thursday or Wednesday and basing it off one game of action. What's hard about recording when basketball is going on is that you record the day and then something else happens that day, and then you have to wait a whole nother 3-4 days to talk about it. So I'm just gonna record this one. This is gonna be a bunch of predictions and talking about some of the news we've seen. And yeah, there's gonna be predictions for the NBA season, award predictions, standing predictions, and a little bit of NFL talk at the end. So let's get into it. And I haven't been watching the end of the preseason because I've just started to realize that I watched the preseason games and I only watched the first half. After the first half, there's a bunch of bench players. And, I mean, the last preseason games was when players were actually playing and actually trying to get their work in. But I just wasn't interested after a few games because, the rotations, it's not to be taken seriously. The minutes aren't to be taken seriously. It's just such a small sample size. So, I don't have much more about the preseason to talk about. But, the same things I said on my last preseason episode stand. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving look great. Isaac Okoro is looking good. And what we haven't seen is James Wiseman and Draymond Green play. They have not played in the preseason, and they'll probably be back soon. They had COVID and there was a lot going on, but they'll be back for the regular season, and I'm excited to see Wiseman and Green play. Moving into my award predictions, we're gonna go lowest to smallest. And yeah, I'm just going to predict my awards, say some of the reasons why I have those people winning. And obviously, this is to be taken for face value. It's way too early. You don't know who's going to get injured. Trades may happen. But I'm going based on what we see right now. The day before the day 1 of the NBA season. This is what we see right now. And if James Harden gets traded 5 minutes after recording this episode, then everything in this episode you can't use it anymore. But I doubt that will happen. Though the Rockets want to make the James Harden trade happen before the NBA season, it's not looking like it will happen before the NBA season because it would have to happen today. And it looks like James Harden's going to start the season with the Rockets, maybe up until the trade deadline. Starting with Coach of the Year, back to awards. And I've seen a lot of different names pop out. But I think I'm going to go Steve Nash here. Steve Nash here. If you guys know me, you know how high I am on the Brooklyn Nets, especially after seeing Kyrie and Kevin Durant play basketball. This team's going to be good. It's not a team that's really going to pop out in the regular season. Like, you saw the Warriors towards the end of the run. They weren't even getting first seeds anymore because they did not care about the regular season. However, I think in this tough Eastern Conference, seeding is gonna matter. To go in Philadelphia and play in that harsh weather, later in the playoffs. In Milwaukee, it gets cold there, so I think you want home court advantage. And I think Brooklyn's going to be trying to get home court advantage. And even if they don't, they're gonna be a top 3 seed. Between Miami, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn, and Philly, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be in that top 3. But I think they'll be the one, man, because you have to consider that Milwaukee has to chill out in the regular season. Because one of their problems have been they go so hard in the regular season, they get 60 wins, and then they have no gas left in the tank for the playoffs. Then they're not the same in the playoffs. If Milwaukee start resting players, if Giannis starts doing the load management, that might be better for Milwaukee in points of, yes, they may not be as good as the regular season team, but it may lead to them being a better playoff team. And I think that's what's more important for Milwaukee, and that's what they want more than getting a 60 wins and then getting out in the second round. So I think that's what they should be going for. But Brooklyn needs to show everyone that they still have it. And even though Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they might rest a little bit, they're coming off injuries. But I think this team is going to be good. They might even win 60 games, but they're going to be good. And I think Steve Nash, as a first-year head coach, voters would love the story of him coming from not really any coaching experience. He was a player development assistant, I think, for the Warriors. He didn't have any NBA experience and any coaching experience, and now he comes in as a head coach for a team with, how people say, a lot of egos. And if he can come in and lead that team to a first seed, I think there's no doubt he'll win Coach of the Year. Some other names, Terry Stotts from Portland. If that team can be very good, then he's definitely in there for Coach of the Year. Stephen Silas. Stephen Silas is a dark horse, because if Stephen Silas keeps that roster afloat, even with all the stuff going on with James Harden, which I don't know if he will, but if that happens, then he's got to be in the conversation. Rick Carlisle in the conversation, Frank Vogel, all those names. But I think, depending on how well the Nets do, and I think they'll be that good, I think Steve Nash will win the Coach of the Year. Moving on to most improved player, and there's a lot of names that pop out. Michael Porter Jr. is a big name. I've heard a lot of people saying in most improved. And I'm trying not to be biased here, but I think Colin Sexton is a name you have to consider. Colin Sexton, I'm not, that's not my pick, but Colin Sexton was almost a 20-point scorer in his second year. His big problem is his defense. And if the Cavs become a better defensive team, if the Cavs even are to win like 30 games, Colin Sexton is definitely a name that has to be considered, because I think people would still have it as Kevin Love. But this season, I think Colin Sexton could take the leap of the best player in the Cavs. It's been debated about for a while. Kevin Love has been regressing. But this year should be the year that he gets the keys and it's like, look, we're building through you. We see you as a star, and we need you to take the keys and be great on this team. And if he can do that, and if the Cavs are, like, not going to make a playoffs or anything, but if the Cavs are good, then I think you definitely have to consider Colin Sexton for the award. But with that said, my pick, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. With them trading Chris Paul, trading a lot of other assets, trading Steven Adams, this team is Shai's. I think they could have multiple MIP candidates, because they don't have much talent. They're just giving these young players the keys to just grow and develop. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will definitely do that. I think he will become the best player in the Thunder, All-Star. That's something that you can talk about later in the tough Western Conference. I don't know if he can hit All-Star, but he's going to be a very good player for them. I can see him being like a 22-6 guy and maybe being around that All-Star mark. Brandon Ingram was in the same situation. He came to a young team and they didn't really have a clear best player, didn't have much talent, and he came and he became the best player. I think I see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing something very similar to that, and I think he's going to be most improved. His defense is there, his offense is there, his playmaking is there. He's learned a lot from Chris Paul, and if he can put that into upper gear, then he'll definitely be in the running. Two other names I want to put out, DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul makes every big he plays with better. It's just known. You play with Chris Paul, you become better. David West had his best days playing with Chris Paul. Blake Griffin had his best days playing with Chris Paul. Clint Capella had his best days playing with Chris Paul. Those guys just get better with Chris Paul, because that's how impactful Chris Paul is. Chris Paul just makes everybody he plays with better. And, that's what Chris Paul does. And if Chris Paul if Chris Paul does that with Phoenix, then DeAndre Ayton, the pick and roll between Paul and Ayton will be mean. Ayton already has shown his ability on the defensive side of the ball. He's already a top defender. But on offense, he's getting that three kind of set. But if he can, I think, simply, if nobody can stop the Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton pick and roll, that's an easy 20 points a game. An easy 20 points a game from DeAndre Ayton. That's how good he is. That's just how he plays his role. And he's the number 1 overall pick. People forget how good he was in college, how good he was in high school, and what he used to do and why he was the number 1 overall pick. He can produce, and I think he's going to go, and I think he's going to do that on Phoenix. He's going to produce. And yeah, he's a name that could be very prominent in that race. Even though he's very good now, but if he takes that leap, maybe to All-Star, you gotta talk about DeAndre Ayton for most improved. And here's a kind of weird name that I haven't seen anyone mention. Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre comes to the Warriors team where he's about... Let's talk about scores, because the best scorer on that team, the number one option, Stephen Curry. Then second is either Kelly Oubre, James Wiseman, or Andrew Wiggins. I don't think James Wiseman as a rookie is going to come into that Warriors team and get a bunch of shots. So I wouldn't go James Wiseman second. Andrew Wiggins. I don't think Andrew Wiggins will be starting on the Golden State Warriors. We don't know yet, but I don't know if Andrew Wiggins will be starting. He might be, but I don't know. And I'm not even if he is starting, I'm not even going to fool myself into putting Andrew Wiggins on most improved, because people do it every year. They're like, this is the year Andrew Wiggins is going to make that leap. I believe this is the year. And, it's just not. It's not. Andrew Wiggins, if he was going to make the leap, he would have done it already. He's had too much time. But Kelly Oubre, he's going to be the second scoring option on that Warriors team. And I've seen Kelly Oubre, clips of Kelly Oubre playing some very good defense. And that's part of the Warriors' DNA. Draymond Green, he's going to make anyone he plays with a better defender. So I don't think Kelly Oubre is going to come in that team and be a terrible defender. Andrew Wiggins has already gotten a lot better defensively since being there. Defense is a lot. Strength in numbers, their depth, and defense is a big part of the Warriors' success. So Kelly Oubre has the defense, and he's going to get a lot better defensively from playing alongside Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, a coach and a player that are going to push him to be better defensively. And offense, his game is there. He can hit a very solid three-point jumper. He can get to the rim. And there's no reason for me. The Warriors are going to need another 20-point scorer, probably, alongside Steph Curry. And normally that is Klay Thompson. And I don't know if it will be Wiseman, Wiggins, or Oubre, as I said. And I think it could very well be Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre has the offensive skill set to get to the basket and give you 20 points a game. So as I said, Shea is my pick. But Kelly Oubre is a name I haven't heard many people talk about for most improved. And I think more people should be talking about it. Kelly Oubre, he missed the bubble. He hasn't played in a while. But yeah, he's a pick. He's someone that is going to improve. And obviously Michael Porter Jr. is a given. He was a guy that was coming off the bench, wasn't getting many minutes last year, and now he's getting starter minutes. After Jeremy Grant left, he's going to start, and I think he's going to be in that race, and I think he's going to do a lot. But that's a given. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be there for most improved. And now Sixth Man of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year is a weird one because you don't know who's coming off the bench and who's starting yet. Because it's the preseason. You don't know you don't know what the rotations are. You know who's starting in the preseason, but that doesn't really translate to the regular season rosters. With that said, my pick for Sixth Man of the Year is Carmelo Anthony. Melo, man, he has embraced the bench role. I think Derrick Jones Jr. and Robert Covington will be the Blazers starting forwards. And he's embraced that he's going to have to come off the bench. At this point in his career, he's very old. He got drafted in 2003. And it's like he's had his prime, and now he's just not good enough to start. He's not good enough defensively. But he doesn't bring enough production to being the starting lineup. And that's not a bad thing. He's very good off the bench. He's a bench spark that a team like the Blazers need. A guy that can give you 20 a night off the bench, which a lot of teams don't have. And, it's better to get someone like that. And that's what Melo has been for the Blazers. Even though last season he started every game as a Blazer, this season he will come off the bench because they've added new guys. They got Harry Giles, they got Robert Covington, they got Derrick Jones Jr. And Melo is a bucket. He's been a bucket since he was in New York. He's going to continue to be a bucket, and that's what he's going to bring off the bench. He's going to bring straight points. Hopefully they're efficient, because that's been one of the biggest downsides about Melo is that he's not scoring efficiently. But if he give you 15 to 17 points and do it on 50% shooting, then I think he can really win the award. I think he can. He brings a solid case. He's a great scorer. And his defense is, it's not crazy good, but he's getting about, his rebounding is very good. He showed that in the bubble when he gets the rebound. He's like, get out of here. But he gets the rebounds. And his playmaking has been good, but he just had some really quality games in the bubble. And if he can build on that, then let's see Portland's going to be better than they were last year. And the narrative, voters love the narrative. That's where LeBron James got a lot of names for MVP, because doing that at year 18, it was impressive. Year 17, I'm sorry. And Carmelo's going to be in year 15, 16? And he's going to be, hypothetically, putting up 15 points per game off the bench. So, yeah, I think he has a very good case. He has the narrative. Voters will be behind him. And, yeah, I want to see what he can do. But, yeah, he's my pick for Sixth Man of the Year. Some other names are Jordan Clarkson, I heard a lot. Obviously, Lou Williams, always in the conversation. Christian Wood. It looks like Christian Wood is going to be coming off the bench. Obviously, guys like Eric Gordon, they're always going to be in the conversation. And Sixth Man of the Year, yeah, it's kind of a weird award. Spencer Dinwiddie or Karis LeVert should also be names that should be mentioned. Whichever one comes off the bench for the Nets, I don't know which one will, but whichever one it is should be in the conversation. As the Nets are such a deep team, and both of those guys are vital parts of the Nets' success, so, they should definitely be recognized for Sixth Man of the Year, I would say. Now, the next award, the Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year is, there's a lot of people in it. I think this was not a particularly strong draft class where you go to one guy and this is the Rookie of the Year if he doesn't get hurt. There was a lot of guys you could point to and say, this guy could be the Rookie of the Year, this guy could be the Rookie of the Year. So, after thinking about everyone that could be considered for the award, I think for Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go Killian Hayes or LaMelo Ball. And this all depends if LaMelo Ball is starting, because it's very hard to win Rookie of the Year off the bench. You have to do a lot in your time off the bench. And it's possible. It's definitely possible, but it's definitely rare. It's definitely something that you don't see often. And you will not see very often. So, Killian Hayes is going to have the keys to success. The Pistons have said he will start. He's going to learn from Derrick Rose. And this is going to be his best situation to where he can just go and succeed off the bat, right? And LaMelo can do that if they allow him to put up shots, if they allow him to get the shots. However, if he's coming off the bench, he's not going to be able to get those shots. So that's my whole thing. If LaMelo is starting, I think he's the most talented rookie. I think he's got the best potential, the highest peak in this draft class. And I think if he's going to start, he's definitely going to win Rookie of the Year. But if he's not starting, I'm going to go Killian Hayes from Detroit, because he's going to be able to have the pick and rolls with Blake Griffin and really facilitate all of the guys in Detroit. And there's nobody that's really going to take shots from him. Obviously, Killian Hayes is not a guy that's going to put up 20 points a game. That's not his role. But nobody's really going to steal shots from him in Detroit besides Blake Griffin. But Blake Griffin is not a guy that really creates his own shot. He gets feeds off his point guard. That's how he plays. Jeremy Grant, he's more just in the corner type of guy, and he's going to shoot. But I don't see Jeremy Grant as a guy that's going to take all the shots, score 20 points a game. No, and even if he does, that's more assists for Killian Hayes. And I think a dark horse for this award is Deni Avdija. Deni Avdija, even though, like I said, sharing the ball, Deni Avdija has to share the ball with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Two guys that, they're going to want the ball, I will say. However, Deni Avdija has played with people more talented than him, more experienced than him, and that are going to get more shots than him. He's done it already. In the EuroLeague, he wasn't the number one option, but he was still putting up numbers, he was still scoring, and he was still making a difference. So I think he comes in on this Washington team with the experience of being a second option, knowing what he needs to do. And I think he's going to do it, man, because I think Deni Avdija is very talented. He's a guy that you can just plug into any system. And he's not, he's not going to cause problems. He's just going to come in and he's going to be efficient. He's going to shoot. He's going to get the assist from Westbrook. And what matters is his three ball. Because when you're running two bad shooters in Westbrook and Bill, you're going to need people that are able to shoot alongside them. And Deni Avdija, if Deni Avdija can start hitting the three-pointer consistently this season, then I definitely think he can take the award. But right now, I have Killian Hayes. I love Killian Hayes. I love his game. And I think it's going to be a big piece for Detroit. Deni Avdija could sneak in. LaMelo Ball could sneak in. And James Wiseman could sneak in. He's going to get those touches over in Golden State. But he's going to get them. But I don't know if he's going to do enough with them to really win an award. Well, we've talked about 3 other awards. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. And Defensive Player of the Year is a really undervalued award. I feel like between NBA fans, everyone wants to see the 20-point scorers, the 25-point scorers, the 30-point scorers, but defense needs to be valued. And for my Defensive Player of the Year, a name I haven't heard many people say, I'm going with Draymond Green. Draymond Green is a one-time Defensive Player of the Year. He won the award in 2017. And since Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, he's took a gigantic step down. He hasn't been as good. He just hasn't been the same Draymond Green. But at the end of the day, it's still Draymond Green. He still got the talent to go out and play some really good defense, which is all you ask for Draymond Green. He's going to get the keys to lock up your best player, and he's going to get the keys defensively, which he really didn't have with Kevin Durant. They weren't running the same system. He didn't have the same abilities that he did before Kevin Durant. So I really think he could go out and become the same player he was before Kevin Durant. And obviously, it's a bit of a long shot to go from an all-star to a non-all-star to back to an all-star just because of one player leaving. It's a little bit of a long shot, but I think he can do it, man, because Draymond Green is still a very talented player. He's still more looked at as the leader of the Warriors team, the one that's going to talk to everybody, defensively get them in their positions, and if you're not doing the right thing, he's going to yell at you, because that's the competitive motive that Green has, and that's how Green is. And the vital part to Green winning the award will be the Warriors' success. If the Warriors are a non-playoff team, I don't see Green really getting any love for the award. But if the Warriors are a 7 seed, 8 seed, 6 seed, and Draymond Green's defense is like a vital part of how good that team is, then, hey, you could be talking about the Warriors. You could be talking about Green seriously for the award. And we'll see what happens. But right now, I think Draymond Green should get a lot more noise when talking about the Defensive Player of the Year. I think Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a very good option. He can guard 1 through 5. He has to do a lot defensively on the Philadelphia 76ers. And he definitely does. He guards 1 through 5. He brings electric energy to the team defensively. He gets a lot of steals for his turnovers. Creates a lot of fast break plays. And, yeah, he's a very good pick for Defensive Player of the Year. The big thing about Ben Simmons is staying healthy, staying on the floor, to where he can play enough to get the award. But if he does, and if he does stay healthy, I could definitely see him becoming the Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, he was a finalist last year. He didn't come home with it, but he was a very good pick for it. And then other names that could win the award, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is a great defender for the Miami Heat. He brings a lot of energy. Giannis could win it again. I mean, he's still the same defender he was. Jrue Holiday is gonna bring a lot better defensively to that Bucks team. Yeah, those names are going to be in the race, but I'm going with Draymond Green. But yeah, don't be surprised if you see Ben Simmons, Giannis, any of those guys winning the award, because they're there. They could definitely take it home. And the last one, the big one, is the MVP. A lot of names float out when you discuss MVP, but I'm going Luka Doncic. pretty common name. I think he's the favorite for MVP. I've seen a lot of people picking him, but yeah, I'm on that list. I'm on that trajectory. I'm going Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is an incredible player. He's taking strides as a playmaker. He's already a 2010 player. I could see him going and averaging a triple-double. He averaged about 29 and 9 last year. He can bump that up to a triple-double. He was getting triple-doubles the entire playoffs. And if he gets triple-double, if he averages triple-double with this Mavericks team, who you have to remember, this Mavericks team is not stellar. They're a good team, don't get me wrong. They're a playoff team, don't get me wrong. But besides of Luka and KP, they're just solid pieces. It's not a championship team. And if this team is a top 5 seed, you have to give Luka a lot of serious credit for that. Because this team isn't that talented to where they should be that high in the standings. So, yeah, I'm going to look at Doncic. Kristaps Porzingis will miss about the first week or two of the season. That injury he suffered in the bubble, it's still lingering, and he will not play. So that adds to Luka's case, being without Porzingis to start the season. And it all depends on the Mavericks' success. If the Mavericks are another 6, 7, 8 seed, then I don't really see how Luka could win MVP. But if the Mavericks are a 1 through 5 seed, Luka's case seriously increases. So I'm going to look at some other names. Jason Tatum. Kemba Walker's going to be out for the first month of the season. Jason Tatum can lead that Celtics team to do something. Steph Curry, I would predict will be a finalist, because I think that Golden State team is going to do stuff for where they're at, and I think Steph Curry will be a big part of that. We have seen that's one thing I didn't talk about in the preseason games. We've seen Steph Curry in the preseason games. He's coming off screens. He's hitting those jumpers. He looks like Steph Curry, man. And I hope he can get that team to win games, but he looks like Steph Curry. He's looking really good. You know, Giannis is going to put up Giannis-type numbers, and he's going to be in the running for MVP. He's going to do that every year. Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they're going to be there. They're going to do it again. Pascal Siakam? I don't know. Depends on the Raptors' success, but I don't know. But, you know, a lot of names. But I think there's only a few that... Oh, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard has been in a lot of people's discussions because he was already playing like MVP last year. He was the bubble MVP. And if he can keep that going for an entire 72-game season, then Dame is definitely in that discussion. So we'll see if he can do that. But yeah, Luka Doncic is my MVP for the 2021 season, barring any injuries, of course. And that's my awards. My MVP was Luka Doncic. My Rookie of the Year was Killian Hayes. My Most Improved Player was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. My Defensive Player of the Year was Draymond Green. And my Sixth Man of the Year was Carmelo Anthony. My Coach of the Year being Steve Nash. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the NFL portion of the show. It's not gonna be very long because I haven't watched much. I have one or two games I want to talk about. Chiefs and the Saints, man. That was the game of the week. Everybody was looking forward to it, and it wasn't a blowout. The Chiefs didn't run through the Saints. The Saints, even without Michael Thomas, they made it a game. They fought the Chiefs right until the end, and you know, they won by 3. The Chiefs ran it out. They got the first down with Le'Veon Bell, and that was it. I'm not mad about that loss as a Saints fan. I felt like it was a game I marked off on my calendar since the first day of the season, you know. But I think we showed a lot of prowess, and we fought. And that's all you could ask for, really, to not be blown out by the best team in the NFL. And, you know, we showed that we can seriously make this a rematch in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. And I hope we can. We need MT back. A lot of things we need to do, but, you know, we're fighting. And we'll see what happens come playoff time. Come playoff time, the NFL will definitely be a bigger portion of the show. But right now, there's just a lot going on in the NBA. With the season about to start, and it's just more interesting. So with that said, I think that's going to wrap up another episode of the Double Trouble Podcast. As always, if you're watching to this point, thank you. I hope you liked it. And I hope you liked and subscribed. I'm your host. And I'm out.